On my 20th birthday, Qin Jiawen bought all the roses in Shanghai for me, proposed to me under the fireworks that almost lit up the sky all over the city. Everyone thought I married for love, but now, he spent a huge sum of money to buy a diamond necklace worth tens of millions for another woman, book New York's Central Plaza and promise her a lifetime. This time, I decided to take the initiative to give in and wish them a happy marriage, after 5 years of marriage. Everyone envies Qin Jiawen and I for being a perfect couple. Qin Jiawen wishes he could give you his life, however, they didn't know that Qin Jiawen had not been home for more than 2 months. I just thought he was busy with work. After all, the company is about to go public. He had just returned from a business trip abroad and had already plunged into work, but I didn't know it until now. It turned out that he went abroad to propose to another woman. Hearing the laughter coming from the VIP lounge, I retracted my hand that was about to push open the door. This is a cocktail party hosted by an old friend of my family. If the matter gets out of hand, it will not only bring shame to the aristocratic family, but also to my family. We can't fall out. I could only turn around in embarrassment. Standing on the balcony, the cold wind blew across my cheeks. His cheeks were cold and the tears in his eyes had been dried by the wind. The content I just searched for is playing on my phone. In New York Central Plaza, Qin Jiawen's confession to Han Ying was played on a huge screen. Behind the screen, he knelt on one knee and proposed to the delicate young woman with a 10-carat pink diamond. They kissed passionately as countless people shouted "Marry him." The comments below are all full of envy and blessings. Wow, what kind of fairy tale love is this? It's so sweet. It is said that the two are a family marriage. A strong alliance, the beautiful love between the prince and the princess. Lick lick lick. I will die with no regrets if I can see the young master and the young lady get married. Request a wedding invitation. As a wife, I actually saw my husband proposing to another woman in a short video, and that woman still stole my character. There is no way Qin Jiawen didn't know about this. The person who posted the video is called "I'd Like to Be Your Little Bird," that is, Han Ying herself. She responded to the comments one by one, her words full of happiness. Without Qin Jiawen's acquiescence and connivance, Han Ying would not have been able to do these things. My nose felt sore again. I tilted my head back, trying hard to hold back the tears. A bony hand stretched out from the side and handed me a handkerchief. Looking at the quaint ring on that hand, the flaming tulip family emblem on it was extremely familiar. I turned around and met Wen Xiaoyan's handsome face. His light grey eyes looked at me tenderly, and his cold fingertips wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes. "Who made you cry?" Wen Xiaoyan, my ex-boyfriend. He is also Qin Jiawen's uncle who is not related by blood. I didn't say anything, just looked at him quietly. On the day Qin Jiawen and I got married, he boarded a plane to Germany and claimed that he would never come back. But the tears that she had been able to hold back could no longer be controlled and burst out after she saw Wen Xiaoyan. I couldn't face this man anymore, so I shook off his hand and quickly ran out of the balcony. As luck would have it, I ran into Qin Jiawen, who had just come out of the VIP room. When my ankle hurt and I was about to fall, Qin Jiawen hugged me. He looked at the tear marks on my face, a hint of worry flashing across his eyes. "What's wrong with you? Did you sprain your ankle?" "Don't cry." He is as gentle as ever and has been a good husband for many years. I shook my head and lied to him. "It's windy outside, and my contact lenses slipped, so I put some eye drops in." Qin Jiawen nodded and believed it. He suddenly leaned over and picked me up horizontally. "You sprained your ankle. Let's go home." Qin Jiawen's brothers couldn't help whistling and teasing him with a smile. Brother Zhao is such a doting, wife-loving man. My sister-in-law twisted her ankle and he just left us and ran off. We agreed to go drink together. Qin Jiawen said to them with disgust, Go away, it's only natural that I love my wife. Have fun by yourselves, I'll pay for today's expenses." He was afraid that I would be embarrassed, so he spoke to me in a low voice. "They are just like that, unruly. Leave them alone and let's go back first." Amid the teasing of his brothers, Qin Jiawen carried me away. My face turned a little red. But I couldn't help thinking about it. Maybe what I just saw and heard was just a misunderstanding. I subconsciously grabbed his suit and smelled the unfamiliar woman's perfume on him. It turns out that it doesn't even take a second to shatter a fantasy. I resisted the urge to retch, turned away, and tried to stay away from Qin Jiawen. Before walking out of the banquet hall, I saw Wen Xiaoyang standing on the balcony out of the corner of my eye. He stood in the darkness, looking at this place all the time, unable to see the face clearly. Tonight is the first time Qin Jiawen has returned home in more than 2 months. I lay on the bed, listening to the sound of water coming from the bathroom, without any joy. In the past, Qin Jiawen always put his cell phone on the bedside, but I don't know when he got into the habit of taking his cell phone into the bathroom. He used to take only 5-minute combat showers, but now he has to stay in them for a full hour. It turns out that Qin Jiawen had cheated on me a long time ago, but I had never noticed these details. While I was still in a daze, Qin Jiawen had already gone to bed. He hugged me from behind and kissed my earlobe. "Baby, what are you thinking about?" I turned around and saw Qin Jiawen's hair was half dry and a smile was on his handsome face. His upper body was naked, with distinct muscles visible. His figure is still as good as ever. I always liked to touch his muscles, and he would smile and show me his masculine assets. But now, this beautiful body has been touched and soiled by another person. I broke free from his arms, sat up, looked into Qin Jiawen's eyes, and said very solemnly, "Jiawen, if one day you fall in love with someone else, you can just tell me and we can part ways amicably. Yu Shuang, am not someone who can't let go, just don't lie to me." A flash of panic flashed across Qin Jiawen's eyes. After a long while, he forced a smile and reached out to touch my face, but I dodged him. He felt a little helpless. "Honey, I know I've been busy with work lately and haven't been home often, so you're just imagining things. I know I was wrong. From today on, I will try to go home and be with you every day, okay?" Qin Jiawen's voice, expression, and every detail on his face were so sincere that I almost believed that what he said was true. I smiled bitterly, turned around and lay down with my back to him. "You don't have to accompany me. He knows, I'm busy too." The lights in the bedroom went out and I had to hug the quilt to get through this difficult night. In the darkness, a hot body came closer. Warm, moist breath caresses the side of my neck. The panting was clearly tinged with desire. "Shuang Shuang, let's have a child." When you have a child, you stop having these random thoughts. I suddenly felt ridiculous. Does the relationship between husband and wife need to be maintained by children? I reached out to push him away. Qin Jiawen hugged me even tighter. He is very anxious. There were dense kisses falling gently. I just felt sick and wanted to vomit. In a state of frustration, I slapped him in the face. Bang! The loud sound cut off all atmosphere. I pushed Qin Jiawen off the bed with force. The lights came on, and Qin Jiawen, who was sitting on the floor, looked up with disbelief and anger in his eyes. "Yu Shuang, you hit me. Why don't you let me touch you? Do you have someone else outside?" I stared at his bloodshot eyes and suddenly found it ridiculous. What qualifications does he have to question me like this? I was about to speak, but what came out was a dry heave, vomit. I held onto the bedside table, half of my body leaning out of the bed, my body shaking slightly uncontrollably due to vomiting. Qin Jiawen didn't have time to be angry. He climbed onto the bed using his hands and feet, supporting me, his eyes full of ecstatic anticipation. "Shuang Shuang, are you pregnant?" He began to regret again. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so mean to you just now. I didn't know you." I shook my head, interrupting him. "You're not pregnant, don't think too much about it." But Qin Jiawen didn't believe it. He took out a pregnancy test stick from the drawer and insisted that I try it. Looking at his eyes flashing with stars, I suddenly felt a little confused. What if I'm really pregnant? I once wanted so much to have a child with Qin Jiawen, but I was never able to fulfill my wish. Now, he came at such a bad time. Standing in the bathroom, I stared at the pregnancy test stick on the sink with a nervous mood. Outside the bathroom, Qin Jiawen received a call. He was a little irritated, but his voice was very gentle to coax the other person. "I have something urgent to do and can't come today. Can I ask the driver to go over? Be good. I'll help you get the endorsement you want in a few days." The phone kept ringing intermittently. Finally, it became quiet outside. The pregnancy test stick also showed results. There was a sudden knock on the bathroom door. and Qin Zhaowen's anxious voice was heard from outside. Shuang Shuang, I have to go out for something urgent. You send me the photos later. He left in such a hurry that he didn't even wait for my answer. I walked out of the bathroom, only to hear an impatient bang of a door closing outside. I looked down at the pregnancy test stick in my hand and suddenly felt relieved. Fortunately, I don't have to bear the burden of a life. I sent the results to Qin Zhaowen and asked him what he was doing. Qin Zhaowen responded quickly. Didn't my uncle return to China? He asked me to have supper with him in the middle of the night. You know, he has now inherited the entire Universal Group, and his status is different from before. I still rely on him for many business matters. I smiled and said nothing. I threw the pregnancy test stick into the trash bag and carried the garbage out. The moment I opened the door, I saw a car parked not far away. The license plate is the familiar A21314. When Xiaoyang was leaning against the car door, holding a cigarette between his slender fingers, with a spot of scarlet on the cigarette butt, he had a slender figure, and this movement made his legs look at least 3 meters long. At this moment, he was slightly lowering his head, and under the faint moonlight, he looked a little decadent and haggard. As if he noticed my gaze, he raised his head and looked over at me. The next second, when Xiaoyang put out the cigarette between his fingers and walked towards me, both. I didn't give him a chance to speak, turned around and ran into the house. I leaned against the door, barefoot, holding my heart, and gasping for breath. I didn't even notice that my shoes fell off that night. I tossed and turned, downstairs, when Xiaoyang leaned against the car and smoked all night. The next morning, when Xiaoyan's car was gone, I suppressed my disappointment and went to the law firm. The lawyer had just finished drafting the divorce agreement when his cell phone rang. My artist Xu Yang said to me tearfully, "Sister Shuang, Chaoxing Entertainment is going too far. I made so much money for them, and now they want to promote an internet celebrity. He wants to use me to promote that internet celebrity. I don't know which big shot Han Ying hooked up with, but she dares to give me a cold shoulder. I quit." As she spoke, Xu Yang started crying and cursing. "It's Han Ying again." I took a deep breath, tried to calm down, and let Xu Yang tell me what happened. "I just got Xu Yang a big S-level production, and there will be a script reading session these days. As a result, on the last day of the seminar, Han Ying was cast as the second female lead. All the previous scripts were overturned. The heroine's role was mostly cut. The second female lead had more scenes than the heroine, and the new script even made the heroine's personality very unpleasant. I didn't expect that Qin Zhaowen would actually try to snatch the star resources from me in order to promote Han Ying. He knew very well that I was the one who brought Xu Yang up. When Xu Yang was still a little-known actress, I was her agent. We both went from being bullied and looked down upon to working hard to get to where we are today. I have put in so much effort, stayed up so many sleepless nights, and endured so much injustice. Qin Zhaowen knew all this clearly. I said to Xu Yang, "Wait till I get there." I took Xu Yang into the general manager's office of Chaoxing Entertainment. In the office, Han Ying sat on the sofa with her legs crossed, wearing on her finger the pigeon egg that Qin Zhaowen had used to propose to her. She turned around, saw Xu Yang and me, stood up, and looked provocative. "Mr. Wang is not here, Sister Xu. It's no use asking Mr. Wang about the role. Chaoxing wants to promote me now." She walked over, pushed Xu Yang, and looked very proud. "When you get old, you need to know how to give up your position." After saying that, she glanced at me meaningfully. "I think Han Ying knows who I am." Xu Yang was about to speak when I held her down. "I'll do it," without waiting for Xu Yang to react. I slapped Han Ying in the face. "Who the hell are you, talking to me like that? Do you think it's glorious to rely on men to get ahead and sell your body? Your parents are buried in the ground. There is no one left in this world that you care about, right?" I grabbed her hair and slapped her hard twice. "Han Ying, I'm telling you, if I don't give up my position, you'll be a mistress your whole life and won't even have a name. You can steal my man, steal my resources, and destroy my career. Get lost. I won't tolerate it." Han Ying screamed and her long nails covered with diamonds were about to scratch my face. "Don't call me a mistress. The one who is not loved in a relationship is called a mistress. It's not like we can't get a divorce now. Your husband has proposed to me." You can just wait to be kicked out of the house. You're an old woman that no one wants. Han Ying was able to fight her way to her current position among a group of women, and with Qin Jiawen by her side, her fighting ability is also incredible. I barely dodged it, but still got a cut on my face. We started to wrestle. Xu Yang also rushed over to help me. I'll kick you to death. You bitch, you're stealing men, you're stealing resources, I'll let you steal. The scene was chaotic for a while. Until a hand pushed open the office door. Mr. Wang turned around and said to the person behind him with a smile on his face, "Boss Qin, Miss Han is waiting for you inside." In the second half of the year, his voice stopped abruptly, then became sharp and rose. "What are you doing? Stop it." We were quickly pulled apart. Han Ying threw herself into Qin Jiawen's arms and cried. Qin Jiawen hugged her. His heart was all on her, and he didn't notice me. Boss Qin. These two crazy women suddenly rushed in and beat me up. How am I going to appear on camera tomorrow? I'm not going to live any longer. She cried so hard that her eyes were wet with tears, and the sound of her clappers was so annoying that it was almost unbearable. Qin Jiawen kissed the top of her head with tenderness in his eyes and said through gritted teeth, "Don't worry, no one in this world can bully you." I watched all this with cold eyes, in a corner of the office about 10 steps away. Mr. Wang pointed at my nose and scolded me, and I protected Xu Yang behind me. "You two are veterans of the company after all. If word gets out that you bullied the newcomers, do you want to be banned? Now, go and apologize to Miss Han right now until she is willing to forgive you. Xu Yang, from now on, whenever you appear in public, you must bring Han Ying with you." This is a blatant way of forcing Xu Yang to be a stepping stone for Han Ying. Of course Xu Yang would never agree. There was no way I could agree to that. "What if I don't agree?" Mr. Wang looked at me with disdain. "Then from today on, I will not allow Xu Yang to have a single scene, and you will get out of the company. In view of your efforts for the company over the years, the company will not sue you. But you don't want any compensation." Han Ying heard all these words. She glanced at me, her eyes full of pride. I gathered my hair, straightened my messy clothes, and turned to look over. But the person he was looking at was not Han Ying. "Are you satisfied with this arrangement?" With a smile on my face, I stared at Qin Jiawen with cold eyes and uttered 2 words. "Husband." There was a flash of panic in Qin Jiawen's eyes. "Shuang shuang, it's not like that, let me explain." He subconsciously tried to push Han Ying away, but Han Ying deliberately held him tightly and refused to let go. Qin Jiawen exerted force and Han Ying was pushed to the ground. "Boss Qin." With tears in her eyes, Han Ying looked at Qin Jiawen pitifully. Qin Jiawen just looked at me and explained incoherently, "Han Ying and I have nothing to do with each other. The company recently invested in a drama, and I came here as the person in charge to make contact." I raised my lips sarcastically and said calmly, "Is that so? Then withdraw your investment and ban Han Ying. I don't like her and don't want to see this woman in the country." Han Ying panicked. She changed her arrogance, stood up from the ground, and grabbed Qin Jiawen's sleeve tightly. "Boss Qin, don't, you can't abandon me. You are the only one left for me." Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears and she looked so fragile that she could only stand with the help of Qin Jiawen. Qin Jiawen looked at her and subconsciously helped her. He said to me hesitantly, "Shuang shuang, you are not the kind of person who would use your power to target others at will." Suddenly, I remembered what Qin Jiawen said. Yu Shuang is aloof and strong, and only cares about her career, but Han Ying is different. She can't live without me. I won't back down. I am that kind of person. I only give you 2 choices. Make Han Ying disappear, or divorce. Qin Jiawen looked at me in disbelief and questioned me angrily. "Yu Shuang, are you threatening me with divorce?" I nodded. "Yes," Qin Jiawen said painfully. "How did you become like this?" Han Ying comes from a poor family. She has been working hard in the city since she was a child. It has been difficult for her to get to where she is now. You can't ruin her life. I interrupted him with a smile. "I know your choice." I put the divorce agreement in my bag on the coffee table. "Let's get a divorce." When I was pulling Xu Yang away, I reminded Mr. Wang, "I want to terminate the contract with Xu Yang." "Yu Shuang, what do you mean?" When Qin Jiawen caught up with me with the divorce agreement, I slapped him. "Qin Jiawen, I don't want to make things too clear. Give each other some leeway. If we fall out, It will be bad for everyone. Just sign the agreement. I moved out of the villa. However, both the divorce and the termination of the contract did not go very smoothly. Both of these things involve huge interests, and I had long anticipated that the process would not be easy. In the past 3 days, Mr. Wang called me more than 60 times, sent me hundreds of text messages and thousands of WeChat messages, apologize, repent, and promise not to squeeze Xu Yang's resources in the future. Chaoxing will implement a dual-flower parallel strategy, that is, to promote Xu Yang and Han Ying at the same time. I ignored it. If it weren't for the subsequent termination of the contract, I would have blocked this stupid boss long ago. On Saturday, I went to visit my mom in the nursing home. Qin Jiawen arrived earlier than me. He sat in front of my mother's bed, peeled an apple, and talked to her. When he saw me coming, he immediately stood up obediently, looking very cautious. Shuang Shuang, you're here. I nodded and said to him, didn't you tell me that you were going on a business trip at 2 p.m.? Hurry up and leave before you delay your work. Qin Jiawen was stunned, his face looked a little unhappy, and he said in a low voice, I cancelled all my work. I want to take my mom out of the nursing home so that the 3 of us can travel together and have a good time together. Before I could refuse, my mother smiled and shook her head. I'll take care of your business. Mom knows that your company is going public soon and you can't spare time. I'm doing well in the nursing home by myself. Qin Jiawen had no choice but to leave in disappointment. My mother asked me after he left, did you have a fight with Jiawen? I nodded and lowered my head to peel the orange, not daring to look my mother in the eye. Mom, if I divorce Qin Jiawen, can you accept it? My mother sighed, held my hand, and said earnestly, why, if it's just a small matter? Mom hopes you can communicate well. There will always be friction between husband and wife, and marriage needs to be managed well. You should give in to Jiawen appropriately. But my mother's tone suddenly became serious. If he makes a principled mistake, Mom respects your choice. Seeing that I didn't say anything, my mother seemed to understand and sighed. She hugged me lovingly and whispered, it was Mom's fault. If I hadn't threatened to die to separate you and Wen Xiaoyang, maybe you would be happier. Back then, it wasn't anyone's fault. I can only blame myself for not being strong enough. Shengda Group is facing bankruptcy. My father jumped off the building, and all assets are facing liquidation. Only if I marry Qin Jiawen can the assets be preserved and the company's more than 300 employees will not be laid off. In the economic crisis, more than 300 families have mortgages, newborn children, and elderly people to support. How many people will be heavily in debt because they cannot find a job, and how many families will be broken up because of this? They are all old employees who stayed with my father until the end. I can't just leave them alone for the sake of my love. I agreed to the Qin family's request. Afterwards, Qin Group injected capital and Shengda was acquired. Everyone was satisfied, except Wen Xiaoyang. He hates me, and I accept it. I am sorry for him. Before leaving, my mother said to me, go do what you want to do. Mom will always support you. When I walked out of the sanatorium, Qin Jiawen was waiting for me at the door. He pulled me and spoke earnestly, honey, let's talk. I was about to refuse, but he continued, if you want a divorce, you have to talk to me. In the spacious Rolls-Royce, Qin Jiawen and I sat face to face. He looked at me deeply, his eyes full of affection. You've lost weight. Have you not been eating well these days? Can you come home? I cook for you every day. Facing a betrayer. No matter how gentle your concern is, it just feels boring to me, I said impatiently. What on earth are you trying to say? 2 minutes have already passed in the past 10 minutes. Qin Jiawen looked at me, as if he couldn't wait to open the door and leave. He sighed and took out a test form. I didn't answer. I just heard Qin Jiawen say, Han Ying is pregnant. When she has a baby, I will send her abroad and you will never see her again. She has had poor health since she was young. If this child is aborted, she will never be able to have children again. Let her give birth to the child. We can take it home to raise. Then the child will be registered under your name and treated as ours. We can live happily as a family of 3 as before. Okay. A sense of absurd drama arose in my heart. You want both? Qin Jiawen, don't you think it's disgusting? The Qing dynasty has fallen. Qin Jiawen's face turned pale and blue. The last minute was spent in silence. I opened the car door. Remember to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau for divorce at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Qin Jiawen held my hand tightly. Whether you believe it or not, Shuang Shuang, I really love you and I can't leave you. Do you remember when Shengda Group was on the verge of bankruptcy? My parents actually didn't agree with our marriage, but I loved you, and I forced them to agree. I fell in love with you at first sight. You are the bride of my dreams. Only you and no one else. I pried open his fingers one by one and spoke calmly. Qin Jiawen, I won't believe a single word a liar says. Qin Jiawen's eyes were bloodshot. Tears were welling up in his eyes. He gritted his teeth. His voice was filled with tears. Shuang Shuang, if you insist on getting a divorce, I will order the sale of Shengda Group's assets, dismantle Shengda Group, and finally sell the company. Your father's years of hard work will be completely gone. It started to rain. He shed tears. Don't push me. I don't want to go this far. I just want to be with you. Obviously, I was the one who was cheated on. But Qin Jiawen cried even more sadly than me. I slapped him. You're worthy of saying love. The rain is getting heavier. I walked step by step on the deserted street in my high heels. Every step is in the mud, but I don't know where to go. A hand gripped my shoulder. An umbrella was held over my head. Wen Xiaoyan's voice was cold, suppressing his anger. You Shuang, you were willing to die to leave me, but now you are in this mess. I turned my back to him and didn't dare look back. Wen Xiaoyan is right. I thought I made the best choice, but in the end nothing changed. He came to laugh at me. I shook his hand off and tried desperately to run into the rain. He dropped the umbrella in his hand and grabbed me hard. We pulled and wrestled in the rain, and finally fell together on the muddy ground covered with rain and water. When Xiaoyang suppressed me and roared, You Shuang, when will you learn to speak? Is it difficult to beg me? I raised my head and stared at Wen Xiaoyang. The rain wet his hair and dripped down his cheeks. His eyes were red and he stared at me angrily. Why is he yelling at me? The suppressed emotions suddenly found an outlet. I grabbed his collar hard and roared hysterically. Well, begging you help. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? You just want to see how miserable I'll end up after abandoning you. You want to see me regret it, to see me kneel before you in humility. You're pretending to be deeply in love with me. But you just want to abandon me in return, right? I don't regret it. When Xiaoyang, if it happens again, I will still abandon you. Don't even think about it. The rain mixed with tears poured down. I don't know how long I cried. I just knew that the rain was so cold and I felt so uncomfortable. Suddenly, when Xiaoyang said softly, I regret it, caught off guard, he hugged me tightly, so tightly that he wanted to embed me into his flesh. His hoarse voice was heard in the heavy rain. You Shuang, I shouldn't have respected your choice in the first place. I should have kidnapped you on your wedding day, taken you to Germany, tied you up, and locked you up in a castle. Fuck responsibility. Fuck family ties. I don't want to endure it anymore. I stared at him in a daze. My brain shuts down at that moment. Wen Xiaoyang knows everything. Looking at Wen Xiaoyan's face that suddenly approached mine, he bit my lips madly, and the taste of blood filled my lips and teeth. In that blood, there is his pain, his hatred, and his divorce him and marry me. I lay in the hotel's bathtub. The hot water was steaming, and I finally didn't feel cold anymore. I was so comfortable that I felt sleepy. The scene from a few hours ago kept echoing in my mind. I pushed Wen Xiaoyang away. He took this as a silent rejection. When Xiaoyang stared at me with red eyes in the heavy rain, like a suppressed and desperate beast, I said to him in a hoarse voice, Lend me 300 million, and I'll marry you. Before I pay off this debt, you can take revenge on me in any way you want. When Xiaoyang was terrifying at that moment, he seemed to have released all his hatred, and I even suspected that he would tear me apart in the next second. You Shuang, use your marriage as a bargaining chip. If one time is not enough, there is always a second time. He placed his hand on my neck, stroking my throat with his fingertips. If I can't satisfy you in the future, will you kick me out and replace me with someone else? I leaned over and kissed him on the lips. Yes, there were 2 knocks on the door. I came to my senses. The bathroom door was opened a crack and a hand stretched out. The hand hung a shopping bag on the door handle. The clothes have been sent to the laundry. I asked my secretary to buy you new clothes. He reminded again kindly. Don't soak for too long, you'll catch a cold if you fall asleep. He always remembered the past habits. I looked at the clothes in the shopping bag. They were not new but more like custom-made ones, in exactly my size. I don't know how long ago when Xiaoyang prepared it. I put on my clothes with mixed emotions, and when I pushed the door open, when Xiaoyang was leaning on the sofa with a laptop on his knees, having a video conference, seeing me come out, he quickly ended the meeting. I'm a little embarrassed. Am I disturbing you? When Xiaoyang did not answer this distant and unfamiliar question, there was a black lake of silence in his eyes. After a long while, he asked, "Do you need my help with your divorce?" I shook my head and said firmly, "I can handle it myself." Qin Jiawen will definitely agree. After being married for so many years, who can't find each other's weakness? The next morning at 8:30, Qin Jiawen asked me to meet him in his office. As soon as I walked into Qin Group, I saw the entire hall was covered with red roses. Qin Jiawen was wearing the same white suit he had worn when he proposed to me. He was holding a bouquet of red roses in his hand and walked towards me with a smile. "Honey, I'm here to take you home." Qin Jiawen was certain that for the sake of Shengda, he would definitely give in. I didn't take the bouquet, I just spoke calmly. "Go to your office. I have something to tell you." Qin Jiawen thought I had given in and happily held my hand, until I took out a file bag and the documents inside were taken out one by one. This is the financial statement of the Qin Group for the past 3 years. These are the tax returns of the Qin Group for the past 5 years. These documents are about several major projects that the Qin Group has been involved in over the past 10 years. I have marked the problematic parts, and you can enjoy them slowly. Besides, every time I took out a document, I slapped it into Qin Jiawen's arms. Finally, I lost my patience and raised my hand. The documents flew up like butterfly wings and fell in mid-air. I spoke word by word under Qin Jiawen's extremely shocked gaze. "Qin Jiawen, these things will not only prevent the Qin Group from going public in this lifetime, but will also put you in jail for more than 10 years, when you come out. Do you think you will still be the president of the Qin Group? As long as you're not around, I can still live a prosperous life whether I leave or not. But I can't say the same about the canary you raised." Qin Jiawen's lips turned pale and his lips trembled slightly. After a long while, he looked at me as if I were a stranger. "You Shuang, you are threatening me." I smiled softly. "When you were planning to threaten me, you should have considered this consequence." Qin Jiawen covered his eyes and laughed out loud. "I underestimated you. You Shuang, have you never truly loved me? The reason you married me was for Shengda. I gave so much for you. But you," I held up a finger and placed it against my lips, "don't make you sound so noble. I also wanted to live a good life with you in this life. But you didn't cherish it. I also said that we should part ways in peace. But not only did you deceive me, you also used despicable means to force me to stay and watch over your 3 wives and 4 concubines. Qin Jiawen, you are wrong for threatening me with my father's life's hard work." Qin Jiawen suddenly knelt down, his tears pouring down like a flood. "Don't go, don't leave me. I really know I was wrong. Give me another chance. Wife, wife." I shook off his hand and looked down at Qin Jiawen. He cried like a child who lost his favorite toy. But this child will eventually get a toy he likes more. It's 9 o'clock Beijing time now. I'll give you an hour to calm down and go to the Civil Affairs Bureau for a divorce. Qin Jiawen finally agreed to the divorce and promised to sell all of Shengda's shares to me for 300 million yuan. But he thought he still had a chance. 30-day cooling-off period for divorce. During this period, Qin Jiawen punched in 3 times a day to deliver loving meals, which was even more diligent than when he first pursued me. I confiscated the things and I didn't allow the hotel to let anyone in. Hanying couldn't hold back any longer. She came to me privately and asked me to stop bothering Qin Jiawen. She was already pregnant, and if I knew what was good for me, I should get out of here as soon as possible. "Even if you refuse to leave, what can you do? All the Qin family's property belongs to the child in my belly. Don't even think about getting a penny." I told her with a smile, "Qin Jiawen and I are about to get divorced, and we have 15 days left in the divorce cooling-off period. Also, Qin Jiawen gave me half of all his property. As for whether you and the baby in your belly can get the money, it is not my business." Han Ying's eyes turned red with jealousy and she rushed towards me hysterically. You bitch, what kind of drug did you give Zhao Wen? How could he allow you to take away half of his property? I called the police straight away. Han Ying was detained for 15 days. It became a hot search. Han Ying assaulted someone and was detained. However, Han Ying was released on bail by her agent the next day. That night, Han Ying put on some plain makeup and looked very haggard and fragile. She cried in the live broadcast room that I had stolen her fiancé. She came to my house to beg me to leave, but was detained because I wrongly accused her. All my accounts, including Weibo, TikTok, mobile phone, and email, have been flooded with private messages and crazy insults from Han Ying's fans. They called me a mistress, told me to die, cursed my entire family to die, and told me to be careful not to get hit by a car if I went out. Someone even sneaked into the hotel and splashed blood on the door of my hotel room. After when Xiaoyang found out, he booked the entire hotel and hired the best foreign security company to protect me 24 hours a day. I notified Xu Yang and several other artists I was close to, and asked them to be careful about their safety. These people were brought up by me, because they spoke up for me online. Their comment sections were flooded with fans and internet trolls. Qin Jiawen called to express his concern for me. Are you okay? Why don't you go home and stay? I can hire a bodyguard to protect you 24 hours a day. I'm really worried about your safety. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I will definitely find a way to solve it. Please wait a little longer. I refused coldly. Qin Jiawen, if you really want to resolve this, you should have controlled public opinion before things got too serious. I will not be moved by your heroic rescue at a time like this and get back together with you. Stop playing tricks on me. After hanging up the phone, I reached out and clicked on a comment on the screen and spoke calmly to the lawyer. I'm going to sue all of these. The main point is to sue Chaoxing Entertainment and Han Ying. The lawyer's letter was pinned to the top of my Weibo. It instantly attracted countless ridicules. Lawyer's letter. I'm so scared. Can't I just write it with my hands? Illiterate. Only court summons are legally binding. Lawyer's letter is useless. You, a mistress, have the nerve to come out and jump around. She is a mistress herself and also pimps for her artists. This kind of dog is not worthy of being a human being. I suggest that she be expelled from the human race. Calling her a dog is an insult to dogs. I didn't have any emotional fluctuations. I just asked the lawyer, when can it be brought to court? The lawyer's fingers were typing rapidly on the keyboard. It has been submitted. These people will receive subpoenas within 3 working days. Do you have any other instructions? I stretched and my arm hit when Xiaoyang, who was sitting next to me, he held my arm and pulled me into his arms. He said with a dark face, "You've been up all night for 2 nights. It's time to go to bed." Before I was taken away, I reminded the lawyer, we must make these people lose everything they have and remember this lesson for the rest of their lives. By the way, I also took care of the case regarding the termination of the contract with Chaoxing. The court summons hasn't come down yet, but the public opinion online has changed. It is said that Qin Jiawen posted my wedding photo with him on the official Weibo of Qin Group, a red book with a big red seal and 2 people smiling happily in the photo, and a line of words from Qin Jiawen, in my heart, no matter what the future holds for Yu Shuang and I, she is my only wife. For a moment, the entire internet was in an uproar. Everyone was shocked to realize that Han Ying was the mistress. Immediately afterwards, everyone quickly dug out the proposal video that Han Ying posted using her second account, and the characters that Han Ying released. I found out that she plagiarized my characters. Shouting 3 times to catch 3 is extremely shameless. Han Ying was scolded so much that she closed the comment section directly, and the endorsements she had previously negotiated with also terminated their contracts with her. Han Ying originally wanted to struggle, but after a few live broadcasts, everyone in the live broadcast room frantically spammed her and cursed her, and made various reports, resulting in Han Ying's main account and 17 small accounts being blocked. In desperation, Han Ying could only announce her retirement from the internet. It is said that she took advantage of her pregnancy to force Qin Jiawen to take responsibility for her, but Qin Jiawen only paid a sky-high penalty for breach of contract as a breakup fee and was unwilling to see her again. Han Ying turned to Qin Zhaowen's parents and claimed that she was pregnant with a son, the eldest grandson of the Qin family. But Qin's parents don't even like me, so how could they possibly like Han Ying? It's not like Qin Zhaowen is incapable of having children. Han Ying was dragged directly onto the operating table by people sent by Qin's mother, and those keyboard warriors who insulted, threatened, and physically attacked me also received the court summons they had been longing for. They finally got scared, but no matter how many times I beg for mercy and apologize in private messages, it's no use. The last day of the marriage cooling-off period, Qin Zhaowen and I got our divorce certificate. I blocked all contact information of Qin Zhaowen. We will never see each other again in this life. Not long after, the court opened. One was about Han Ying and Chaoxing Entertainment slandering me. The verdict was made very quickly. Han Ying and Chaoxing Entertainment were required to compensate me 3 million for mental damages each. The other one is the lawsuit between Xu Yang and I and Chaoxing Entertainment. As soon as he came on stage, the lawyer threw out one piece after another of Chaoxing Entertainment's bad deeds, including forcing artists to accompany drinking, giving artists to high-ranking officials in exchange for resources, working overtime and at high intensity, taking unfairly high commissions, and forcing actors to undergo plastic surgery and illegal weight loss injections. Ultimately, the court ruled to terminate the contract unconditionally. At the same time, countless artists who had been harmed by Chaoxing Entertainment sued Chaoxing Entertainment again. The senior executives of Chaoxing Entertainment were also taken away for investigation. Not long after, Chaoxing Entertainment faced bankruptcy. Xu Yang and I opened our own studio and signed a large number of artists who were willing to follow me. I was completely free. I have hired professional managers to manage Shengda Group for me, but I still prefer to personally train amateurs who love the entertainment industry to become stars who can stand on their own. The opening day of my personal studio, during the ribbon-cutting ceremony, when fans were giving flowers. One of the fans slowly approached and suddenly pulled out a switchblade and stabbed me who was next to Xu Yang. "You Shuang, you bitch, go to hell." Han Ying had sunken eyes and a long scar on her left cheek. She rushed towards me with a crazy look in her eyes. At the critical moment, when Xiaoyang stood in front of me, the switchblade stabbed into his waist. Han Ying was controlled by the bodyguards who rushed over. I hugged Wen Xiaoyang who was lying on the ground. And it felt like my soul was being pulled out of my body. When Xiaoyang lay in my arms, his dark eyes staring at me without blinking, his hands were covered in blood, and he seemed to want to touch my face, but stopped in mid-air, a bitter smile. "Shuang, I'm sorry, I lied to you. I'm not here for revenge, I really love you." He looked like he was about to fall asleep. I burst into tears and slapped Wen Xiaoyang's face hard. "Xiaoyang, hold on, don't close your eyes, I beg you. I promise you, as long as you don't die, I will really be with you. And we will never get divorced in this life." Ula ula. The whistle of the ambulance cut through the noisy scene. Maybe God has pity on us. After 3 hours of rescue, when Xiaoyang opened his eyes, the first thing he asked me was, "Does what you said still count?" When Xiaoyang will not let Han Ying go, and Han Ying, in order to save her life, spilled everything, including what she knew about the Qin Group, just to make a contribution. A large number of senior executives of the Qin Group were arrested. Among them were Qin Zhaowen and Qin Zhaowen's father. During this period, Qin Zhaowen sent many letters from prison. I didn't read every one of them, but when Xiaoyang was still very jealous, a qualified ex should be as quiet as death. I rubbed my big dog's head to comfort him. "I have already informed the prison that I will not receive any more of his letters from you." Only after hearing Xiaoyang was he satisfied. One night 5 years later, I handed a check worth 300 million to Wen Xiaoyang who was leaning on the bed reading documents. When Xiaoyang almost jumped up, staring at me with red eyes, looking like a big dog that was about to be abandoned. "What are you doing? You Shuang, you still want a divorce? Don't you believe that I really love you?" The content I just searched for is playing on my phone. It looked like it wanted to pounce on it, tear it into pieces and swallow it into its stomach. I smiled helplessly. "As a couple, we should settle accounts clearly. I will pay you back the money I owe you." When Xiaoyang finally breathed a sigh of relief, He rushed over and hugged me tightly. I felt Wen Xiaoyang kissing and nibbling on my neck like a big dog, and I patted his head helplessly. Your daughter is already 3 years old. Why are you still worried? Wen Xiaoyang kissed my earlobe and said aggrievedly, I saw you and Xu Yang discussing the whole night last night. I called you several times but you thought I was annoying and told me to go play by myself. There's nothing I can do, you've already entered my house. Are you afraid that I'll kill you? Is the certificate a white-collar one? When Xiaoyang recalled the fierce words I said to Xu Yang when we were chatting, and said firmly, I think I still have to behave well so that I can always keep my wife's favor. Just that night, he almost pushed me into the headboard of the bed. The result was that I didn't get up until the afternoon the next day. Xu Yang's new drama was being filmed in Singapore, and I missed the airport drop-off. She cried and sent me hundreds of text messages complaining about her. When Xiaoyang, the culprit, was sent to my study to sleep for 3 days. I hugged my daughter who finally had the chance to sleep with me and kissed her sweet and soft little face. When Xiaoyang stood at the head of the bed, holding a pillow with a resentful look on his face. With my consent, he slept on the left side of my daughter. After a while, this person took my hand seriously and insisted on interlocking our fingers. The starlight wraps around the moonlight, shining on the windowsill and into the happy home.